For those of you that are here for the first time, I want to say welcome. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for your attention. I am Diana. I believe that your attention, your intention, your time are the most valuable currencies that you have. So for you to choose to put your attention and your time here means a lot to me. And I am very grateful for that. And we're going to make the most out of it. During the next hour, we're going to talk about how to apply Feldenkrais in real life. I am going to give you a small, short overview of Feldenkrais, which is the core or the root of my body of work, of what I've dedicated my life to do. And as I was saying a minute earlier, I joined this work, which was created by Dr. Moshe Feldenkrais in 1995 and professionally in 2007. In 1995 as a student, I was in acting school and I found this class to be transformative for me and I became obsessed with it. So in a nutshell, what the Feldenkrais Method does is allows you to identify patterns, habits of movement, thinking, feeling, and being in the world that perhaps are not in alignment with what you want. I think that's the best way to say from everything we can do, I think at the core. So think about examples of this. Let's say you want to have a life full of activity and vitality and you have some pain in your body. And that may be caused by structural issues or arthritis or something, or postural, habitual movement patterns. That's a very good example of what Feldenkrais does really well. Now, some people are not in pain at all. I recently got this email request from a possible client and she said, I'm not in pain. Can I still benefit from this? Well, of course, because Feldenkrais is based in this notion. I think he got it from Emile Coué, which we talked about last session, and you can find that on my YouTube page. Emile Coué was the father of personal development in the US, and he was a Frenchman, and his motto was, every day, in every way, I'm getting better and better. Business knows this principle really well. It's the principle of continuous incremental improvement. So you don't have to be in pain to benefit from continuous incremental improvement, right? Things can get better even if you're already doing great. Yeah. Now, let's say that you have a habit of thinking that is limiting you in the way that you show up in the world or in your career or in your relationships. So that's one place where we can identify a pattern or a habit, look at it, transform it by creating a new one that becomes stronger in your brain because it's more efficient and feels better. So that's basically what it does, this body of work, and how it does it is through neuroplasticity. Neuroplasticity is the ability of your brain to create new connections between cells. Your brain keeps making new cells, generating new connections, especially new connections between them, and grouping, wiring, firing and wiring them until the very last day of your life if you want to use that. You've heard the experience, use it or lose it. Yeah, you learn a new skill, you practice it, it gets stronger, sometimes second nature, you know how to do it with your eyes closed. You get a new skill, you never practice it, you might lose it, you might forget it. That is because your brain has a capacity called neurogenesis. Your brain is plastic, can create new connections, can expand these connections and connect them to other areas of your body, such as your heart and your organs and your whole organism. We're gonna play with that today. So in a nutshell, you can think this work is a toolbox where you can go and grab certain body movements. Sometimes we do tiny movements. Sometimes we do very large movements. Sometimes we only move inside our minds and use our imagination, and we do very little movement, almost none at all. And we use that, so it's the attention, awareness, and movement together to identify patterns and create new patterns. Okay, so sometimes you may think, oh, this is too subtle, I don't feel anything. And then you end the lesson and whoa, some magic seemed to have happened. That's because we're working with the brain and with the nervous system, the central nervous system. And the movement needs to be sometimes very small, very subtle, to catch the attention of the brain, to let it feel safe so you don't reject it or run away from it. And then little by little, this parasympathetic response begins, meaning the central nervous system has two branches. The sympathetic is the one that keeps you awake, alert, ready to run, to fight, to flight, to be on task. And the parasympathetic is the one that allows you to rest, digest, feel safe, and calm down. They work together. One without the other wouldn't be functional. So we work with the one that helps you rest and integrate and digest and feel safe. So you're going to feel calmer, more relaxed. These little movements are going to make you sometimes doze into a state of a semi-trance or sleep. You may feel like you're almost falling asleep, but you're actually moving, which is kind of an interesting feeling. And then you're gonna come back from that and feel maybe a little taller, more refreshed, more rested, vital, but calm from that place of parasympathetic or a very calm nervous system. So today, particularly, I'm interested in sharing with you how we can apply Feldenkrais to harmonizing or bringing more coherence into our minds, brains, all that capacity to be logical and to be doers, to tell our bodies what to do, to move in the world with assertion and reason, and our hearts. Okay, that part of us that is more emotional and feeling the world. And sometimes it doesn't feel so safe in the world. It's not in harmony. We have a mind that wants to do something, but our heart doesn't feel safe. And our body, the rest of our body as a consequence, may not be free or confident or able to act on those impulses of the mind, because the body will follow the mind a lot of times, unless you're working specifically and putting yourself in an uncomfortable situation, let's say with your body, to overcome the mind. And that I know a little bit about because I used to do a lot of cold plunges, and that's what we practice there, is mind over matter. So you use your body in extreme situations to overcome the mind. Now, my guiding principle here, and if you've been with me, you know that we work with principles. If not, I'll explain to you now why. I like to work from first principles up. This is a notion from physics, from mathematics, that once you establish certain principles that work, and they work every single time, you can build on that. You're not guessworking anymore. You're not randomly in the dark. Yes, so you identify, this is my principle. You can imagine it as a value for you as a person. And then if this works every time, then I can rely on this and I can build on another principle and another one and another one. And it creates certain foundations that become almost unbreakable, you see, because the principles work every single time. So in this case, today, the principle that I'm going to use, one of them is not really from Feldenkrais, it's from another body of work that I came across a few years ago, which values the power of questions. The power of questions being that key to sometimes unlocks the unconscious. So statements, when you say this is that, will talk to your neocortex, to your logical brain, to things you know for a fact to be true or you believe so. Questions, on the other hand, and Feldenkrais is full of questions. If you do any lesson full from beginning to end, which you can find also on my website and on my YouTube, and in the Insight page, you will see that the work is full of questions. The questions are openers to your awareness. They don't need an answer right away, but they will pose seed of attention, and you will go back and revisit that even days later, years later. Now, there's this body of work called Access Consciousness that really works a lot with questions. And my favorite question that I'm going to use today as a principle is, what would this look like, or what would this feel like if it was easy? What would this feel like if it was easy? And the way this question works so beautifully with Feldenkrais is that we're always looking for, how can I reduce the effort? How can I do less? We practiced this last Saturday. How can I find the easy pathway, the path of least resistance, the one that is going to take me to flow? Okay, so what would this look like if this was easy? It's going to be present throughout the day today, okay, in this session. And the other big question I'm going to work with, which is a question that guides my work and my career development, is, what would Feldenkrais be doing today if he was alive? Now that's a very interesting question because we cannot answer it. He's dead. He died in 1984. And I think that because of asking that question to my subconscious, I allow myself to connect work that is out in the world today with what Feldenkrais created, which is a very prolific body of work of thousands of lessons and more than a dozen books. And there's audios and there's videos. So we have a lot of work that he created, plus the work that I created based on his work. And now I'm connecting it to other more known, let's say even than Feldenkrais, bodies of work that are very complementary. I'll give you an example that we're going to use today. The work of the Heart Math Institute. The work of the Heart Math Institute is brilliant because they have shown through research some of the things Feldenkrais was working with. Yeah, we're going to use that today. We're going to look for heart coherence and connect that to our bodies, to the rest of the body and the brain coherence. And I'm going to explain how that works. I also would like to connect it, for example, to the work of Dr. Joe Dispenza and Deepak Chopra. And they talk about the quantum body, how our body is more space than matter, just like everything else. Quantum physics shows us we are surrounded by more space than matter, 99.99999% space. And yet, because we observe reality, we fix it into matter. So that wave particle dance that is everything becomes this solid microphone, computer, person, shoulder, heart, okay? But if you can expand your attention and connect to the quantum body of yours, you can affect space and things can change in a different speed, because matter by its own nature moves very slow, is solid, it cannot be in two places at the same time, but space is different. And the space between your cells, between your molecules, in the atomic body moves in a different way. So we're going to work with that. And I think Feldenkrais would be doing that. Hands down, if he was alive today, he would be collaborating with these scientists. The other thing I want to work with, which is not necessarily coming from an institute or a person or any specific body of work, is this collective awareness of sacred geometry. So those are the three things, and I don't like to go more than three things because it's enough material to cover for the whole hour. So think about that: sacred geometry, the quantum body, and the heart and brain coherence. And that's what we're going to be weaving today to create harmony in the body, to create this feeling of oneness through the lens of Feldenkrais. And we're going to be using some Feldenkrais movements, very subtle movements today. So any questions so far? Because I can go into this long-winded explanations of things, but I want you to know the chat is open for questions, for comments, for anything that comes from your heart that you want to share. Or maybe if you have a contradictory argument or information that complements what I'm saying, I'm welcoming everything that you want to share, okay? Thank you, Ginger, so much. With everything, just as with any of my live events here, take whatever resonates with you, leave the rest for later or never. Pass it through your whole self. Don't just let it live here. Imagine this is a sifter and we're sifting some sort of flour or liquid, and you want to think about it. You want to see if you understand it, and you want to let it come down into your heart and see how it feels. Do I like this? Do I feel right here? This is good. And then coming down into your belly area and your pelvis and the rest of you, so you can take it into the world, integrate it. So see if it resonates, and look for examples in your own life if I'm sharing mine, so you can make connections that are going to last and not just forget what I shared because it's not yours, it's my experience. Last thing I want to tell you is that at the end of the chat, at the end of the session, I will answer the questions because I don't want to get distracted with what I'm presenting. We're going to talk for maybe another 10 minutes or 7 minutes, and then we are going to do the movements. And then at the end of the session, I can answer your questions, okay? If you haven't followed the page, please do, so you get notifications of my new events and new tracks. And you're always welcome to visit my Linktree, where you see my website, my YouTube, and all the other sources of content that I have. You mean Feldenkrais, Slavena? Say yes or give me a 1 if that's what you mean. Yeah, Feldenkrais Method is in the description of the event. Feldenkrais. Moshe was his first name. He was a Russian Jew that lived in from 1904 to 1984. Okay, so let's begin by posting an intention for yourself of what you want to get out of this session. So how and where would you like more harmony between mind and body for yourself? Let's take a moment and feel into that. And it's very important because your brain wants a task, wants a job. So when you say this is what we're doing, it's easier to accept that, believe that, surrender to that. So tell yourself what is it you're creating with this session today. And if you don't know, that's okay. But I give you space to put an intention there if you have it. Perfect. And if you want to put it in the chat, even better, we're affirming it together. And I'm going to ask you to consider how would this feel if it was easy, if it could happen in the moment, because our quantum self is instantaneous, moves at the speed of thought, not at the speed of matter. So what if it was easy? What if I could access that instantly, and the wisdom of my body already knows that, and we're only going to look for the answer within. And now thinking about this heart and brain coherence, what I want to share there information-wise is that we know through this Heart Math Institute and all the research that the heart has about 40,000 dendrites, which you could say are the same as or similar to brain cells. So think about brain neurons, but heart neurons. And it's also proven that the heart sends more messages to the brain than the brain does to the heart. So there's a little brain in our heart. And we're going to work with that. So that's enough information. You can look it up if you want more. But for now, allow yourself to think of your heart as a brain, an organ that knows so much and is ready to share that information with your head brain whenever you want to. And all it's perhaps needing is a path, is a channel, an unlocker, a question, or a way in, okay, or an instruction or permission, okay? And we're going to do that through the movement lesson. And now, connecting this to sacred geometry, I want you to think about, and you've probably seen it, and I'm going to show it to you in a minute, that image of Leonardo da Vinci of the Vitruvian Man. And why that image is so relevant two reasons. One, the image is right here. One, this is the exact image from Leonardo da Vinci's diaries. One reason why this is important is because he was showing us, and you can see the lines here everywhere, that there's geometric proportions in the human body that are the same ones that we find in nature. So the golden ratio, pi, the spheres and the galaxies and the formations of ferns and shells and you name it, yeah? There's a proportion in nature that is found throughout and is also in the human body. Okay? Now, why this is relevant to us is because, look, when Feldenkrais published his first book called Awareness Through Movement, where he attempted to put his work out into the world for the first time in the English language, this is the cover of the book. Okay? So he was trying to tell us something here. And of course, he used this image of the Vitruvian Man also in the lessons, and we're going to use it today. It's spread throughout the whole work. Now, imagine first that we don't know enough about this, that our technology hasn't really been able to show us yet. What does it mean that the same sacred patterns or physically perfect patterns like infinity that we see everywhere in our universe are also in our own body? So now we're overlapping that with this notion of a quantum body that is way more powerful than we could even imagine. And it has to do with feeling, sensing, thinking, and moving with this geometry. So we're going to do that today. Not only we're going to use the Vitruvian Man as an example, and when I say Vitruvian Man, what I mean is this is the pentagram, right? It's the 5 lines, 2 arms, 2 legs, and 1 spine or pillar of light, as many disciplines call this axis, the spine, yes? It's called prana tube for the yogis, it's called pillar of light sometimes, or tai chi tube, depending on the tradition. We're also going to use another sacred geometry piece, and I'm going to only use 2 today because of time, but this is what I'm working with. So if you want more, stay tuned because I will share more in the upcoming days. We're also going to work with the tree of life. Okay, and I showed you the tree of life, which comes from the Kabbalah, just so you have it in your mind's eye. When I call certain points in your body, we're going to be working with this. Now, Feldenkrais didn't do this, but I think he would have if he had given more time. This is my personal belief. And at the very least, this is what I'm doing. This is how I'm expanding this work. I'm taking the notion that we find geometry and sacred geometry in the human body, and I'm overlapping more and more sacred geometry bodies into our human body and seeing what are the effects. And the first one that was presented to me through my own experimentation and research is the tree of life. So the way we're going to work with the tree of life, and I'll show you this image now, but not later, so look at it now, is I'm going to guide you to picture your head here, your heart. We're going to connect all this through awareness. Your belly, so the brain in the head, the brain in the heart, the brain in the belly, the gut brain. You've heard this before. The root, some sort of root that you can be represented. It could be represented by your pubic bone or genitals. And a root below you, connecting you to the earth. In the same way, we're going to be talking about your shoulders, left and right, the rib cage, left and right, your hips, left and right. Okay? And these triangles that are going to connect your hips to your pubic bone and the root, and the shoulders to your head. Anders, you know this one very well because we've been working with it. And now picture all the interconnections between them because we're going to work with them as well. So basically we're going to place this sacred pattern on your body, and we're going to be working with it through attention and movement. Now, the hypothesis, and Feldenkrais was really good with this, he said you become a little Sherlock Holmes of yourself. You take your intention, what do you want to heal, what are you want to improve, and you begin to look for clues. How is this connected to that? What is the pattern? What am I thinking? What am I feeling? How am I moving? And you form a hypothesis. It's called deductive method. You form a hypothesis of what could be happening. Now, you're not so attached to the hypothesis that then if you prove yourself wrong, you die. No, you simply play with the hypothesis, move, shift, reframe certain things, learn new things, apply them to you, and then you see maybe the pattern changes. Or maybe you find a new way, and that opens up a whole new level of learning. And then you know, oh wow, my hypothesis was correct. Look, I applied this and now it's better. Maybe you're incorrect and you look for another hypothesis, another connection of information, you see? And sometimes you have to look at the data that you have, the data points, and use induction, right, to do the opposite path. And sometimes you form a hypothesis and you do deductive work. So the hypothesis today is that when we apply this sacred geometry to our body, we're going to find more coherence. And out of that state of coherence, you're going to be able to bring more light into that which is your intention, what you're stating on the chat, or to yourself that you want to improve or get better at, or more information. Simply by applying attention, awareness, a little movement, and these patterns, these sacred patterns. And my thinking here is that when we collectively allow the sacred geometry that is all around us to be recognized, to say, yes, I am this beautifully proportionate body where the golden ratio perfectly fits. Even if I have scoliosis or a broken hip or a shoulder or neck pain or arthritis, regardless. Yeah, there's some healing that immediately takes place, and you join the collective intelligence of the universe. That's the principle that I'm proposing. That's the hypothesis, okay? So now you have the background, you have your intention. I'm going to ask you to lie down, if you can, on the floor, and we're going to do the movement lesson. And the movement lesson will be about 10-15 minutes, more like 15 minutes. And then after that, we're going to come back up and we'll see what's new. And if you have any questions, please place them in the chat. And as you lie down and find a comfortable place, I'm going to read you from the chat some intentions that the community has shared. Looking for guidance towards my path, looking for more energy in my life, to slow down and be more in my body versus in my head, healing my complex trauma and filling up with unconditional love in its place instead. Beautiful. Beautiful and already granted. All of that. Trust me. My intention is to discover more of these connections and to do it together, to have your precious feedback and see, is this working? Because I know the Leonardo man to work, because I've done it enough in my Feldenkrais principles training and practice and all that, but I haven't played with the Tree of Life enough. I'm starting to do that only recently, so I want to see what can we get out of that, and how are the connections from the universe present in our body and can give us more energy and more access to intelligence. So let's lie down if you can. That would be amazing. When you lie down, about 80-90% of your nervous system activity slows down or diminishes. So it's a perfect setup for healing, relaxation, connection to self. But if you can't lie down, you can recline on a chair or someplace where you can be comfortable. And if you're comfortable sitting upright and that's what you want to do, that's fine too. And definitely you will get the most out of this if you can give it your full attention. So now we begin by taking a breath. And with the in-breath, allow your inner eye or mind's eye or attention to go all the way down towards your feet. And follow the contact of your feet with the ground. And we connect to this ground that is supporting us. And see that on the breath out, you can release more and more weight to the ground, to the earth. Relaxing your feet, your legs, your buttocks. And now let this inner eye or your attention travel to the placement of your glutes and buttocks on the floor or chair. And you're simply very curious about any differences between the right and the left side to begin with. Again, looking for clues as to how are we feeling right now, how are we carrying ourselves. Is there more weight on one side? Do I feel higher, more elevated from the surface of support? Maybe one leg feels longer or heavier. And please, as you find this information about yourself, don't change anything. Don't judge it. Simply observe it. Collect information. Now allow your inner eye to travel through your back, right and left sides, and noticing anything that you can feel. Maybe your ribs, your spine. Follow it as if you were looking at a landscape of mountains and hills and fields and horizon. You don't wish it was any different. You simply look at it and its beauty and its differences. And maybe you will feel contact with the floor and then lose that contact and then feel it again. So your whole back all the way towards your shoulders. And notice your arms connected to your shoulders. The orientation of your palms, the right palm of your hand and the left. And of course, all along your breath is free. You don't need to worry about it. Simply allow yourself to breathe in and out easily. Sensing now the shape of your neck, the placement of your head. And allowing yourself now to sense if there's any tension in your jaw and tongue and your teeth. Something that you can instruct yourself to release in this moment and create a little more space between your upper and lower jaw to make everything a little easier. And with the next breath, simply take your head a little right and a little left and sense the movement of your eyes inside your head. This head movement is very small. Don't need to whiplash your neck. Small movement of the head and letting your eyes roll to the right, letting gravity take them, and the eyes roll to the left. And you move your head a little and you move your eyes a little. And imagine that your body is filled with water, and this water can move and the weight of the body shifts just slightly as you take your head right and left. And see if this is possible for you to imagine and maybe even sense. Maybe even sense a little bit of movement, perhaps weight shifting on your pelvis or shoulders as your head turns and the spine turns and the eyes roll. Even if they are closed, and hopefully they're closed so you can sense more within in this moment. Little right, little left. And now come back to the middle point and see if this middle point is exactly in the middle, or you like to carry your head a little tilted, turned, either way, right or left, and observe that too. Is your nose exactly in line with your sternum, or is it a little over the left shoulder or the right shoulder? Again, without judgment, without feeling bad for anything that you see, it's all the way it is. Now come back to this idea of internal awareness, taking your attention to different places. And we're going to use that today a great amount. So let's begin by now allowing your attention to travel from the top of your head to your pubic bone, and imagining now a line between the top of your head and your tailbone, and using your eyes closed as they are to look up as if you could see the top of your head, and then to look down as you breathe all the way down to the tailbone. And just the eyes now are moving along the line of your spine. You can imagine, if you want to, that there's a little pearl or marble or a little dot, like a little ball of light that is traveling from the top of your head to the tailbone, back and forth slowly. And you're following it with your attention. Simply following it. And notice any sensation of stress or questioning yourself if you're doing this right, or I don't know how to do this. And just notice that, love that, but don't feed it. It's okay. I guarantee you're doing this right. So now imagine this long line and paint it with some sort of color as you let this imaginary ball or beam of light travel from the top of your head to the tailbone. Just drag the ball along a line of color of your choice. A thick line, like a 2-inch paintbrush line of any color that you like. And you're creating a pathway for this ball, this beam. And you can use your breath if you want to. As you breathe in, you can move it up. As you breathe out, you can move it down, or vice versa. Connecting your breath to the movement of your attention. And now let this go. Rest. If at any moment during the lesson your legs get tired, you can place the feet on the ground. Bend your knees. No pain is needed, so if there's any discomfort on your low back, bend your knees. And now, if it's possible for you, if you don't have any movement limitations, bring your arms a little bit up towards the direction of your ears, such as we saw in the image of the Leonardo man. And begin to play with the difference between the hands at shoulder level. In other words, the hand in the line of your right shoulder. So if you open your eyes and turn the head to the right, you see your hands right there. The left hand in the line of your left shoulder. And then the hands and the arms a little bit higher. So maybe 5-10 degrees higher in the direction of your ears, in a diagonal line. So look for that line, and of course, if there's any discomfort on your shoulders, lower the arms. Don't go through pain, but place your arms now in this particular position. And now let your legs be long and open them a little bit at the hips so they also form a diagonal line across your body, so you could trace now with your mind's eye this particular line between the right hand and your left foot a number of times. Right hand, your eyes move up, your head can move a little bit if you want to. And you can imagine you have a little marble on your right hand, and this marble is rolling down, down, down across your chest towards your left hip and gliding over your left leg towards your left foot. And as it moves down and you're slowing down the ball movement, slowly letting yourself relax, this ball of light is leaving a trace, is leaving some sort of a path, a wide path of any color that you like. And in your attention now, you are connecting your right hand to your left foot a number of times, down and up and down slowly as you breathe. Relaxing your teeth, your belly, your hands. And now let this go and trace the other line from your left hand to your right foot. Again, placing an imaginary marble on your left palm and giving it a little nudge so it rolls down through your chest in the direction of the right hip. Up and down slowly as you breathe. And painting now this line with another color, any color that you like. Letting your attention make this clear. And noticing that these two lines cross somewhere in your chest. And identifying that point in your chest, you let the ball rest there for a minute. Just lightly as you retrace the lines in your mind, clarifying the colors, their lengths, the right line between right hand and left foot, and the other one between left hand and right foot. And then one more line between the top of your head and your tailbone. And see now, if you can, in your mind's eye, see these 5 lines at the same time. Your 2 arms, your 2 legs, your spine. And they are alive, they are vibrant, they're connected. And now imagine you can trace a shape around your body, connecting all these lines, just as we saw in the drawing, a circle around your body. So the tip of your fingers on the right hand and the sphere, the circle, moves towards the top of your head and touches the tip of your fingers on the left hand, and moves around your body in the direction of your feet and traces the shape of your left foot, sole of your foot, and then connects to the right foot. And you're circled now by this shape, your personal sphere, creating safety around your body and boundaries. And let your eyes now travel around this circle, as if you could see the space above your head, and connecting your hands to your feet in this circular way. And you can do it a couple times if you want to, and then change the direction of the circle of your eyes. Your eyes are the fastest way to influence your nervous system, to calm you down. So as you move your eyes, you are feeling more relaxed and calmer. You're putting yourself in a parasympathetic state. And now please let this go. Arrange your arms and legs in whichever way you want to. If your eyes are tired from all this movement, you can rub your hands and place your palms on your eyes and cover the eyes. This will give you rest for your eye muscles and for the whole apparatus of the eyes, the optic fluid, and the eyes themselves, being supported by your palms covering them. But if not, just leave your arms to the side and notice any changes. Just be curious about how things feel right now. You scan yourself again from your feet to your hands and head, and notice, what is this doing to my body? How am I feeling now? And of course you can take your head a little right and left and see if that's different. The movement on your neck, or how much softer your eyes are and they can move and glide inside the sockets. And breathing, letting yourself take note of any new feeling or sensation that is present. And when you're ready now, place your arms to the side and bring now to the mind's eye the image that I showed you a moment ago of the tree of life from the Kabbalah. And we're gonna find that image in your body. But before we do that, and even if you don't know it or you didn't see it, it's okay. I'll guide you through it, don't worry. Before you do it, just sense any place in your body where you would like more connection, where you feel a little disconnected. Let's say your right shoulder doesn't feel connected to your belly or your heart or your left knee. Just seek a place or two where you would like to bring a little more integration, and see how is that, or a place where there's discomfort or a gap and you can't sense anything and it feels blurry in your self-image. And now let that go and place your attention again in your head, the top of your head, in the back of your head and the whole head. And imagine it now like this glowing point, this glowing ball or sphere. And choose now one color for the whole body. It could be gold or platinum or bright light. And feel now the presence of your head on the floor and move it a little left and a little right and say, yeah, this is, my head is here and we are placing our attention there. Your eyes are there. And now do the same thing with your right shoulder and place your attention there. Take your eyes there. Allow them to imagine their glowing pool of light or heat in that joint and give it the same color. And trace that line between your head and your right shoulder like the side of a triangle with your eyes, gently. And notice if you tense anywhere else because you're doing this, and allow yourself to relax. Simply take your eyes from the head to the right shoulder, back to the head, lighting up these areas as you look at them. And then from the right shoulder to the left shoulder. And you're now tracing a line between your shoulders across the front of your chest. And a number of times go from the right shoulder to the left shoulder. You are creating now connections between your brain, perhaps in a new way, something you didn't think about before. And now go from the left shoulder to your head and complete the triangle. And run this triangle a number of times. So you go from the left shoulder, light that up, almost as if you could look at it and it turns on, activates. And then the top of the head, and then the right shoulder, and clarify that triangle. And now from the left side, from the left shoulder, allow your attention now to go down towards your ribs and find the ridge there, the bottom of your ribs on the left side that is visible sometimes, and you can feel it if you touch it, and light that up. Make a note of that point. And then another one on your left hip. And now run that whole line from the left shoulder down the left ribs to the left hip a number of times, easily, like a game, like a playful thing. They don't need to be any particular size or colors, whatever you want. But see how clearly defined this is. Your shoulder, different than your ribs, different than your hip, and yet connected, in alignment, coherent. And now from the left hip to the right hip, using your eyes to light up this joint, the right hip, between the right hip and the left hip, this line across your belly. And a number of times you can go from right to left, left to right, clarifying that your hips are connected. And then from your right hip up, imagine this line and follow it with your eyes, placing another pool of light or attention in your right ribs, the ridge of the lowest ribs that you can imagine or feel. And then on the right shoulder. And now we have this rectangle of sorts made of these 6 points, and see if you can visualize them all at the same time and breathe into them even more awareness. You can imagine them getting brighter and bigger. And there's a triangle between the shoulders and your head, connected now as well. And now see if you can let your attention travel from the top of your head down in the direction of your feet, and finding another point in your heart that you can place attention, intention, another pool of light there, glowing, connected, aware, connected to the heart, to the brain, sending information from the head down, from the heart up. And now from the heart down to your gut brain, another pool of light in the belly, and feel it. And this one is so, so, so powerful because it sends information to the whole body. So now let it be big and flow and expand with your breath. And now from your belly, let your eyes travel down to your pubic bone or genital area. And imagine that this lights up as it connects to the gut, belly area, and the heart and the head as one long line of support, long line of connection and energy and power and vitality. And even further down below, the space between your legs to the root on the earth. Now coming back to your pubic area, imagine this triangle between your tailbone or genitals, pubic area, and the left hip and the right hip. And trace that with your eyes a couple times, this lower triangle pointing down, creating space now for your legs to be open, following the shape of your hips. And now lightly let your eyes follow this triangle, the lower triangle, pubic area, left hip, right hip, and then your hips to your ribs, to your shoulders, and then the upper triangle, shoulders to the head. And see if you can allow your mind to visualize all these points at the same time. Breathing, relaxing your teeth so nothing is challenging your peaceful state. It's okay if you can't. Allow your mind to put the question there. Can I feel myself? Shoulders, ribs, hips, connected to the top of the head, the heart, the belly, the genitals, a root below. And breathe life and breathe attention and breathe a little movement into these points by gently pressing on the floor, just gently, the back of your head, and it lights up. The shoulders, both of them at the same time, and the upper triangle is alive. Your thorax and the place behind the heart, and the area of your lower back, behind the belly, and the hips, and your tailbone. If you want to, you can bend your legs and stand your feet and also feel your feet. Continuation of this sacred shape of this tree of life inside your body. And breathe into it and see what it does to you to connect to this shape. Can it bring more peace, more connection, more awareness? And how is that part of yourself that you are feeling disconnected from? Can you bring it in? Can you use your mind, your attention to integrate it with the rest of yourself? And now allow your head to gently move left and right, just a little bit, right and left. And see that as you move your head, this body of yours that is electric and yet it has a lot of water and is more space than matter, can move. And it moves and it changes weight and it changes quality of contact with the floor. And you can let your attention travel freely throughout your whole body as one whole self, in movement, reflection of everything out there in the universe, not separate. And now let this all go and scan yourself again and sense any new little something that is there for you to feel, any sense of calm or connection, harmony. Or perhaps look for the opposite, look for chaos, war, and see if you can find it. If you look for it, you might find it. But chances are there's more peace, more connection, more harmony now than before. So see if this is true for you. And in your own pace, without hurrying, allow yourself to choose a direction to get up from and take your legs in that direction, roll to the side, come to sit, and gently come to stand. And see that as you stand up, this geometry remains. If you choose to think about it that way, and allow yourself to feel it in standing, the upper triangle, the lines between shoulders and hips and legs and feet, the midline between head, heart, belly, genitals or pelvis. And as you take a few steps, these 5 lines of the beginning of the lesson, your arms and your legs, they move in relation. You take a left step and the right shoulder moves a bit, and the right arm comes forward. And you take a right step and the left shoulder moves a bit. If you walk really slow, perhaps your arms move forward and back together, but the moment you speed up a little bit your walk, you'll find this diagonal pattern in motion. The diagonals we found on the floor, they like to move also when you walk, when you run, when you go up the stairs. So stop for a moment and place your feet on the ground, and then reach up with the right arm and connect it to the left foot. Like that line, that diagonal line that you found on the floor, just do it once or twice. Just push off the left foot and reach with the right hand and light up that whole line again in your body. And then let that go and take a few steps and plant yourself on the floor and push with the right foot and reach with the left hand and feel the power of that diagonal line in your body and really call it in. That's a human, an animal, cross-lateral pattern that is built in to help you move with more ease, more grace, more elegance, more freedom. So let that go. Now walk again a little bit and feel the midline. Feel this axis, this pillar of light that allows you to be present, to be solid, to feel strong, to keep your head at the top and not falling forward. And see if you can walk now. And this is challenging, but maybe you can do it. See if you can walk and feel both at the same time. The 5 lines, these diagonal lines, and the axis in the middle, and the tree of life. All these points together. Shoulders, hips, ribs, upper triangle, lower triangle. And how much more connection now, interdependence, can you sense in your own body when you are aware of this geometry moving through you? And thinking that all these points, your head, your heart, your belly, your pelvis, they're all connected. Sharing, exchanging information. So you can go to your heart to find an answer. You can go to your belly to find an answer. You don't have to only lead with your head or with your pelvis or with your heart. You can interconnect them. So now come back slowly, reset from any movement, and just find the stillness. And in the stillness find yourself again here in this room, in the shared collective space of this live session. And I thank you so much for your attention. Thank you. As I invite you to come and share whatever is present for you right now, so we can all learn together. How do you feel? What's new? How are you? Thank you so much. Thank you, dear loves. If you have any comments or questions, this is a good time. Oh, great. Thank you, Ginger. I feel so much more balanced and present in my body. Yay! Amazing. So do I. Even I was guiding it and not moving. I feel the same way. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. Who else wants to share a little bit? Was it easy to do? Did you find it easy to find this geometry in your body, or was it a little tricky? Freedom and peace. Yes! I love it. Isn't that what we all want? I want to feel more freedom, more peace. Amazing. Thank you for sharing, Anders. Nancy, I had difficulty on the floor but moved to a seated pose and it was amazing. Great, great. And thank you for doing that, for following your body and taking yourself to where you needed to be. Amazing. Thank you. That's high in my book, because sometimes we are so used to doing the right thing that we don't listen to what do we need. So perfect. This works. Standing, seated, lying down. The only challenge with sitting on a chair is that gravity is at play, so you might be a little more aware of your surroundings than when you lie down. It's typically to rest or heal or sleep, so you tend to just go in more easily lying down, but not if you have discomfort or it's not the right position for you today. So thank you for doing that, and I'm glad that it was amazing for you. Amanda felt wonderful. Yay. Jay says, I have a hard time visualizing the lines, but I feel more relaxed. Did you see this when I showed it at the beginning? Were you here at the start, Jay? Because if you came in a little late, I understand. If you saw the lines, I would say it's only practice, because here is another principle. The image clarifies the movement. And in this case, it's just a movement of our mind for the most part. The eyes are moving a little bit, but it's mainly we're mapping in the brain, we're mapping using our attention. So when you have a clear image, it's easier to do that. Both the movement of your attention and the movement of your body is easier if you have an image. You could say in real life, in life itself, if you have a goal or a vision, it's easier to manifest than if you're unclear of what you want. Well, same thing. So it will come with practice for sure. Yeah. And this is actually this is not a beginner's lesson, because we're not moving barely, right? So this is more very advanced. So commend you for doing it for the first time and feeling more relaxed, because that means it works. Tara says, I was in such a relaxed half-sleep state listening to you. Yeah, perfect. Yeah, I remember in my own training, I would be sometimes in that state and moving my body. And when we do more bigger movements, you'll see you move your body in space and you don't really know who's moving it because you feel so relaxed. But that's really, we could say alpha state of the brain, or even theta, depends, that is very healing, it's very nurturing, because guess what? We are overstimulated, right? We're always running around, being shoved a lot of information, and having to calm down is crucial to make it healthily through these times, to be able to slow down, relax, and yet maintain awareness and doing capacity to do. So my goal is that you can use this class today to move in life. So let's find a practical example. Let's say tomorrow or even today you find a little resistance or disharmony or challenge. Yes, I invite you in that moment to come back to this practice. We use the breath, we use the eyes, and we use this sacred geometry and the thought that our body is space. There's a lot of space everywhere, and we can use our awareness to expand into that space. And use that only even in your imagination as you go about that thing that is challenging, and see if it feels different. And let me know next time. I'll be here next Saturday at the same time, and we can see. I'll guarantee you that you'll find a change. Because when you change yourself, when you change let's say you're pushing and shoving and rushing, and you decide to slow down a little bit, everything will slow down with you. Did you notice that when you rush around the house, you begin to drop things or bump into things, or you become more clumsy? Because everything begins to disorganize. So as we bring this inward, this attention inward, and we find this clarity of these lines, or even just a peace in your heart, you can get everything to slow down around you, and you'll see more clearly. You'll have more peace. Amanda, sometimes I got lost and then it came back. It's okay. Yeah, it happens. It happens. Yeah, we get lost in thought. That's why we're bringing it back into the heart and back into the belly, right? Especially this center line is so powerful. No wonder it's so popular in so many traditions, because it grounds you. Because when you're lost in thought, where are you? You're only lighting up this area. But we also want to light up with our attention this one. And when I say light up, I mean activate. I mean bring awareness. I bring presence and connection. Belly, root. Okay, so now you're not just your thoughts, feeling, and movement all at once. Firefly, I respectfully, with a lot of respect and gratitude, I edit some of these live sessions and I post them on my site. So look for them on my website. You have to go to my teachers page and find my website. And I always credit Insight Timer for that, because without them I couldn't be here. So thank you for asking that question. Anything else, my loves? Do you have any more questions, comments? If you want to make a donation, this is a great time. I really appreciate it. You don't have to, but if you can, it's greatly, greatly appreciated. And I will see you again next time. Other than that, I will see you on Saturday. Let me make sure that I have the time right. Same time, 11 a.m. So what I would love to do next Saturday is to take this. Thank you, Nancy, so much for your donation. Thank you, thank you. And if I don't thank somebody, thank you, Christopher. I see you. Thank you. Appreciate the support there. And thank you for the messages. You know you can message me, right, through Insight Timer, and I can answer those messages. It feels always really great. Thank you, Ginger. If I don't thank your donation, it's because I don't see it. So sorry about that. A couple times they come through later and I don't see them until I'm done. But I also send you a thank you message. What was I going to say? Next week, I want to work with humor. And I'll tell you a little story about humor that I think you're going to find valuable. When we are in this state of disconnect, right? It's all, everything I do, no matter where it comes from. If it comes from Feldenkrais, from my Buddhist meditation practice, from breath work, it's all about creating more freedom, more connection to self-love, oneness, more access to life force, which for me is love, energy, yeah? And understanding, compassion, awareness, acceptance, right? That's the path of self-liberation, right? And oneness with humanity. So I found through my own experience that all of that is a lot easier when you can have humor, when you can laugh, when you can create that almost involuntary belly movement of a big laugh. But it's not easy. Not easy to do. Not the first thing that comes. The first thing that comes, honestly, sometimes is fear, contraction, shutting down. So when I say humor as medicine, I propose, and we're going to practice together and see if this works for you, that we can use humor as an antidote to fear. So we're going to look for sensations in our body that will create contraction. We're going to use movement for that, but we're also going to use thoughts, and we're going to bring back some memories and emotions, and we're going to find contraction and fear in a safe space. And then we're going to use laughter, and we're going to use humor, and we're going to use a movement that will create humor, that will create that sense of ease and laughter, and that vibration that you feel after the laugh, actually. and see what happens, and see how can we balance fear with humor. What does it do to the nervous system? So between now and then, I invite you to practice noticing, simply noticing when something happens that is tricky, that takes you to that place of, a little resistance. What is the response in your body? And can you invite humor? Can you invite a smile even? We're going to take the smile as the fractal of humor. And Feldenkrais himself saw the value of this. Many times when we're doing movements that are challenging, and sometimes we go into very complex movement patterns as part of the advanced lessons, he said, imagine you have a smile from ear to ear. Or if you can, just smile. Because guess what? When you're smiling, you cannot be contracted, tense, tight. So immediately invites you to reduce the effort. I'm also going to connect that, and I give you this so you make time and come back next Saturday. I'm also going to connect that with one of my favorite spiritual teachers, which is Thich Nhat Hanh. And the way Thich Nhat Hanh talks about the smile, there's a beautiful little book called How to Smile that I'm going to bring for you to see. He says, the smile is the flag in the ground that I'm a sovereign being, that I am here, that I'm not distracted. Isn't that beautiful? So the moment you can connect to your own smile, and it could be inner smile, you don't have to put it out there, but the moment you're smiling within, you're here. So you choose to do that. Okay, and the moment you're smiling out and people can see it, usually you see reflections and some people smile with you. And the moment you can laugh out loud, even if it's something heavy that you just heard about yourself, or a limitation you encounter, or a challenge you have, something softens inside of you that connects you to that innocence, to that love, to that awareness. Okay, so we're going to practice that. We're going to do it through movement, and we're going to do it through principles, and understand how the mind and the body connect, and how that allows us for more space, for love, for oneness, and for love of self, which for me is the most precious skill. I'm a mother, and the one thing I wish my kids remember from my mothering is that love yourself as your life depends on it, because it does. Okay? So with that, my dears, and much gratitude for your donations, for your presence, for all the beautiful comments in the chat, and especially for your attention, for choosing to spend your time here and not somewhere else. I love that. I'm very grateful for that. With that, I let you go for the weekend. Have a beautiful day, and I'll see you again next Saturday at the same time, in the same place. In between now and then, know that you're loved, that you are valued, that you matter, and that I'm so grateful to be part of this community so we can be together and share this. Thank you so much, dears. Namaste. Love, 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 love. Mwah. See you next time. Bye, dears. Thank you. Thank you so much for watching, and don't forget to subscribe. See you in the next video.